Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back with Mary Jane Pullam. Excited to have her here and her company, of course, Myofascial Wellness by Jane. Again, she's from Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia, but she's helping people all over with her techniques, her modalities, and of course, what we call Myofascial Release, which again, we'll get into in just a moment. Also excited to have one of our guests here who I'm assuming have benefited from your services. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
That is true.
I got a thumbs up. All right. So Mary Jane, say hello, introduce yourself, and please have David Kale introduce himself as well.
So my name's Jane Pullam, and my business is Wellness by Jane, Myofascial Wellness by Jane. And my passion is getting people out of pain. That's my passion. And I was going to run through a little presentation just to kind of get a hold over what is this myofascial release. Everyone keeps hearing the buzzword. Yeah. What is it? But first, let me just introduce David Kale. Is a client of mine and a friend of mine. And he has had some experiences himself. David, you want to tell what you do? And then we'll get back to my presentation.
So I have a company called Kale Design, and we help people communicate in a visual way through all kinds of marketing and advertising and design.
Awesome. And where are you based out of specifically?
I am close to Jane by about 25 minutes in a town called Bluebell, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Awesome. And can I ask some of your ailments, what was happening, and how you contacted her?
So absolutely.
You know what? Let me go into the if you don't mind, let me go into the presentation first, and then can we get to that afterwards?
Absolutely. Okay? I'm so sorry, David. Okay. Yeah, stand by. We'll do the presentation, and we want to hear your story. Thank you.
I'm sorry. We definitely want to hear David's story. I just have not been able to get through this yet. So let me just see if I can share screen. Bear with me here.
Sure.
I'm going to go over here, and we're going to share it, and then we're going to, let's see, where is that little podium there? And then I have to just check on the sound real quick because I want to play a few things. Share sound. What kind of sound am I sharing? High fidelity, I think. All right. So thank you so much, David, for coming on. And I have trouble getting through this whole thing on the podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first, and then we're going to hear all about your issues. So what is myofascial release? We don't even know how to pronounce. It's really hard to pronounce, actually. Myofascial, potato, you know, say it however you like. I'm going to go to the next slide here. I think I am going to go to the next slide here. No, apparently I'm not. Let me see.
It's all right. It'll happen.
All right. There we go. Yeah. So each one of these little guys, see, I went back a slide. Each one of these little guys has an issue. My back is killing me, and look where that is up here.
Mm-hmm.
My back is killing me, and we got this going on right here. My back is killing me. You got that going on right here, and then this guy has going on right here. So it's a different story based on what's going on in our fascia. Excuse me, they are running the lawnmower right outside my window. So let's go to the next.
Okay.
So what is the fascial system? Why is it so important? Let me relate it to what we already know. We know the skeletal system, we know the muscular system, and up until very recently, we really didn't know the extent of the fascial system.
Mm-hmm.
It's what connects both of those together, and then it does go so far beyond that.
Yeah.
So let's go next one. So one of the things it's our container.
Okay.
And just as milk cannot go beyond its container, our body cannot move beyond what our container allows us to move.
Okay.
It's fascia, not muscles. It's shut down fascia that makes us tight.
Okay.
It controls our range of motion. It controls our posture. It controls everything. So let me go to the next slide. It's also our organ of form. It's a three-dimensional web that goes into and out of every single cell from head to toe, front to back, diagonally. And it runs into and out of, I think I said this, it runs into and out of every single cell, interconnected, such that, I don't know if you can see this. So if I have a snag in my web, because it's a fascial web, I have a snag in my web, what do you think is going to happen? Right now, as I bunch this up, I feel it pulling from back here. So what oftentimes happens, people come in with pain back here, and we might work there. But if I miss this section right here, then I've missed the whole thing. So it leads you, myofascial release. You work by intuition, you work by what the body's telling you, what the person's body's telling you. It leads you to where you need to go to release what is hurting. And they're not always the same place. What's hurting is not always what needs to be opened up in terms of fascia. So what else is it? It's our fiber optic network. Think of light pathways. Think of the internet of the body that conducts messages far faster, basically at the speed of light. Far faster than anything, any nerve can conduct an electrical impulse. So next one. So based on all the traumas that each one of us have been through, we each have almost like a unique signature in our fascia. Just like that first slide I showed, not the first, but the second with all the skeletons, each having my back is killing me, but they were each different. We also, based on every trauma that's happened to us, and that's emotional or physical, we shut down in a particular way that is very unique to us. So I'm always approaching everyone as a unique being, because they are. What's going on in their fascia might be completely different, and usually is from anybody else's. So let me go to the next slide. So what happens when we are injured? This little guy up here. Injured, right? What happens when we're injured is that incoming force to the body, it shuts us down. It shrinks us like a straitjacket. And that fascia becomes dehydrated and sticky. And all the cells that's running through, it is killing off, basically, because they're not getting rid of their waste. They're not taking in any nutrients or water. So the cells it's running through, when the fascia shuts down, are dying. So this can exert up to 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch on pain-sensitive structures. That's why we hurt. But the problem is we go in to the doctor and we say, my neck hurts, my shoulder hurts. We get an MRI, we get an X-ray, we get a CAT scan, we get whatever. And they say, no, you look pretty good. You look fine. And therein lies the issue, because none of this shows up. Fascia does not show up on any scans, MRI, CAT scan, or otherwise. So just to put this in perspective, 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch on these pain-sensitive joints and nerves, vascular system, that's equivalent to the weight of a small car, right? So let me, and no structure in our body was ever meant to withstand that kind of pressure for any length of time. We just can't. So joint issues do not start off as joint issues. They start off typically, unless it's congenital, they typically start off as fascia issues. Now, if you have if your fascia is locked down and it's locked down across a joint, guess what's going to happen to that joint? Any cartilage that was in between there, it's gone. Eventually, the disc, it's eventually gone. And I can attest to that. I've had lower back disc issues myself. So let's just take a look at this real quick. And I know that the way this person is actually, or the skeleton is meant to reveal this person twisting, but I'm going to take this. And do you see how this is so much, the ribs here are so much closer to the, oh, actually it's over here. Sorry, the ribs are closer to the top of the ilium right here. So what do you think's going to happen when this shuts down over here and there's pull right here? Where do you think these discs are going to go? They're going to go this direction. They're going to herniate this direction. If give it enough time, if that's shrunken down for enough time. And David will tell you as well, he's got some knee issues. If it's, like I mentioned, if it's tight across a knee joint or any joint, wrist joint, for long enough, it's going to shut that joint down. So there's a book called Your Body Keeps a Score. And in Myofascial Release, we like to say, your fascia keeps a score. It's the great scorekeeper. And everything, like I mentioned, every trauma you've ever experienced is locked in there. And then also whatever emotional trauma you felt at the time of the original physical trauma, or even at the time you got some news that was bad news, for example, the chemical components of that emotion are locked in the fascia as well. So we're going to play this because I think this does.
Yeah, I love this. This is great. I got to see this. Yeah.
Last time. Yeah. So it doesn't respond to traditional massage therapy, which I was taught in massage school to get in there and you work that out, whatever it takes, you get in there and you overpower it and or you trick it to release. First of all, we were thinking it was the muscles that determined what was tight, and it's not. It's the fascia that determines whatever tissue's tight, including the muscles. So it requires a special method. So it's non-Newtonian. So fascia acts as both a liquid and a solid. When force comes into our body, it's immediately a solid because it wants to keep us in one shape. And that's one of its purposes. If we go into the fascia very slowly and gently and over the course of 5 minutes, it acts as a liquid. And this is just a really good way to demonstrate this. And when we think about it, when has force ever really been able to, make our body relax? Has anyone ever forced you to relax?
Right?
No.
No. Yeah, no.
Right. So, this is going to demonstrate how fascia reacts. So it's going to be, you're going to see the difference between slow, gentle pressure and the difference between when they use a hammer. So here we go.
Okay.
When you mix cornstarch and water, weird things happen. Swish it gently in a bowl, and the mixture moves like a liquid. Squeeze it, and it starts to feel like paste. Roll it between your hands, and it solidifies into a rubbery ball, until you try to hold that ball in the palm of your hand, and it loses its structure and dribbles away. To many who have played with this material, perhaps as children, its strange behavior is nothing new. But understanding exactly how, why, and when this material will act a certain way has always been rather unpredictable. But now, a team of MIT engineers have developed a mathematical model that can accurately predict this material's behavior under various conditions. A single particle of cornstarch is about 1 to 10 microns wide and about 100 times smaller than a grain of sand. It turns out that particles at such a small scale experience effects that larger particles do not. Because cornstarch particles are so small, they can be influenced by temperature and by electric charges that build up between them, which causes them to slightly repel against each other. So as long as you move slowly, the grains will repel and slide past each other like a fluid. But if you do anything too fast, you'll overcome that repulsion, the particles will touch, there will be friction, and it will act as a solid. The researchers incorporated equations into their model to describe the effects of particle repulsion and the speed at which the material is deformed, to predict whether it would behave as a solid or a liquid under various scenarios. The researchers say the new model can be used to explore how various ultrafine particle solutions, such as cornstarch and water, behave when put to use, as for instance, fillings for potholes or bulletproof vests.
Okay, ready to go to the next slide.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Jane Pullam here. Wow, myofascial release. We just went over what it is. We have specific diagrams. Again, if you're just on the podcast, we're also on the Zoomcast here. Excited to actually see it, to understand it, to hear it, to feel it. It's just,
When you mix cornstarch and water,
we're going to do it again because it's so good. But really, thank you. And Mary Jane, just remind us how we can reach out to you before we continue.
Absolutely. You can reach out to me by phone, 843-814-8642. You can reach out to me via the website, Myofascial Wellness by Jane.com. If you're not in the Philadelphia area, go to myofascialrelease.com, go up to the right, locate a therapist, and find a therapist near you. And the other way is email marythejane2010@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So now let's transition, if we can, over to our good friend David, who's been so kind and patient. And I know he's a great patient of yours in a sense, and I'm sure it's great testimonial. So who wants to take the lead here? Do you want to introduce him? Tell us a little bit about how you all met.
I'm going to let him run with it.
Go for it. Except David, we lost your audio. I think you shut your microphone off during the
There we go.
There you go. Perfect.
When I first met Jane, I booked my first session. I didn't know anything about this, fascia stuff. I just, what the heck is myofascial release? Well, it changed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When I visited her. I've always been really active, played football as a kid, everything. But one of the major sports that I've been doing since age 10 is skiing. And you're heading down a mountain at 40 or 50 miles an hour. I'm a ski racer too. And I've never really had too many problems, except in '93 when I was with my parents.
Mhm.
I popped my ACL, and that was a long recovery. And then about 3 years ago, I was racing, and I never ski up the hill, but this time I did, and crashed through the woods and had shoulder problems. Thank God, nothing else, nothing broken. But those traumas just stuck with me. And so 93, that's like 9 years in between that incident. So when I went to Jane, I needed my elbow fixed, my shoulder fixed, my neck, of course, the knee that was damaged in '93. And guess what? It was incredible. Jane says to me, lay down. I'm going to massage your feet first. Like, well, that's not what hurts. It's all the other things I just described. Just relax. I want you to just go with the flow, whatever pictures, picture things that come up, and let me take care of the rest. Just relax. You're here to relax.
Yeah.
Okay. So she started working on my right foot, which used to have plantar fasciitis. I don't know how she figured that one out, but I was immediately feeling relief in my foot.
Okay.
And then I did what I like to talk. So usually I talk a lot, but I zoned out this time. And images started to come up that I really didn't expect. Like, we used to go skiing in Vermont, and the icicles would have water dripping off of them. That came to mind. Then beach with sunlight and water, that came to mind. And then all of a sudden, I had this overwhelming thought about my dad. And like, where the heck is that coming from? And, Dad's the best. He walks in the room right now. I would just get up. And Mom too. But he was tough. He came from depression years. He was, he had been through a lot, and he loved me, but he was tough on me. So I felt that.
Yeah.
And I shared it with Jane. And then she said, that's fine. Traumas will come up, emotional, psychological, and physical. Sometimes. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happened to me.
Yeah.
So then 5 minutes passed, and all of a sudden I started crying. And what came to me was that I'd been tough on my son.
Yeah.
So months later, about a year later, I had the conversation. Well, months later, I had a conversation. My son said, Dad, and he's 25. He said, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. We're waiting for a train. I explained the whole thing. He goes, Dad, you were the best dad. So that chapter ended. Back to my body. It was incredible. I walked out of that first visit like, wow, a lot of things are different. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. And
What
then
was different?
Good question.
I was feeling relief in the parts that were bothering me. Now I knew I had to go back. I knew it was just the beginning of my journey to recover from these that was in February of 2022. So I saw her throughout many months. In April, I was blown away by how physically fit I felt. I mean, I was then able to go out and, I started working out upper and lower body. I have a garden, vegetable garden, and digging and whatnot. I started working out in my garden to my my heart's content.
Yeah.
Most of the chronic pains are gone as of this time period, April. Full functionality.
Wow.
It was just incredible how I was so surprised when I learned about this fascia, that it was this miracle kind of substance that nobody ever realized about. But having experienced this for almost 9 months now, I had a recurring incident the other day raking leaves with the knee that I popped in '93. I called Jane up and she said, no problem, just come over. And she didn't work on the knee right away. Eventually she did. But like she says, the traumas that we have aren't necessarily the points where the pain is. So I've learned a lot. Jane, thank you so much. Your total loving, caring, and professional way of working. I've told my friends about it, my family, and I cannot say enough about how unique a service, a unique professional service you provide to people. And as soon as I hear somebody's got a back pain or neck pain, or they're depressed,
Yeah.
I'll just say, you got to see Jane. And I don't know what Helen Keller, the miracle worker. Well, you're not quite her, but yes, you are a miracle worker.
Aw.
Well, one of the things I remember you saying when you got up the very first time, and a lot of people say this, is you felt lighter.
Yes.
Like when we start shutting down like that, it's like a 1,000-pound gorilla on our back,
Yeah.
And the first thing people go is, I feel lighter. And what a relief that is. Why don't you share about Flossie too? So he sent his wife.
Oh, yes. So Floss had problems.
I apologize. Am I breaking up on your screen?
You are.
A little bit,
I
yeah.
am. Yeah, I'm noticing that myself, and I'm not happy with that. Clearly, my apologies. Let me just see something if I can. The video here. I want to hold on. Let me just see something. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong on my end. Can you hear me?
We hear
Yep.
you fine. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
look better.
You're good.
All right. Can you keep talking 1 second? Can you both talk?
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. So Flossie, my wife.
Okay. Just making sure. No, you're still going through the board. Can you just talk really loud 1 quick second? Just talk loud.
Sure. How loud do you want me to speak? Is that good enough?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're still recording if there is an issue on my end, obviously.
Yep.
I'm going to get the tech person to start looking at this now as we speak, but please continue. Go ahead.
All right. So so Flossie has had plantar fasciitis. She's had hip pain. And she's such a saint. She never really complains. But finally, I got her connected to Jane, and the improvement has been unbelievable. There are times when it's just unbearable to sit in her chair and during the day and work. And now she's walking every day kayaking and playing badminton with me occasionally. Gardening, just pulling, all summer long, pulling out weeds and digging holes for beautiful flowers, and just the return to health and fitness and
life.
life.
Return to life.
Ah,
Because we pull
wonderful.
away, right? We can't, not the things that give us enjoyment don't give us enjoyment. We're hurting. I remember Flossie, her hip was so debilitating for her when she came in. And sometimes when people come in with an issue they've had for a while, I think, oh, I wonder if we're going to be able to help this one. And with Flossie, she got better. She got to the point where she had no pain in her hip, and that was amazing. Now, to say that it didn't come back and resurface at some point in time, it did, but never at the same level, and we were able to work on it again.
And a lot of times when somebody, they might go to a physical therapist first, or they might go to the primary care physician. They might, Western medicine is good for diagnoses, and they come to Jane.
Yeah.
Certainly Jane will spend the first visit interviewing me or, whoever for, as long as it takes, hour and a half. And she's making notes on everything that I can, didn't we go back to like when I was 5 years old, Jane?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we
Yeah.
start?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you've educated me that sometimes it can happen in neutro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being
Being born is sometimes our very first trauma.
Yes, you asked me about if I had tongs or anything. I didn't. I'm just crazy the way I am. But the ski injury required 93 ACL reconstruction, and I find this quite interesting. It used to be with major surgeries, they would take this liquid crystal membrane, this fascia, and just throw it in the trash can. They were like, they didn't realize it. And from my education, it's like a second brain in your body.
It is.
Yeah.
What Jane has educated me. And I call it intercontinental, the way it works, where it goes across your body to different parts.
That's a really good lead into the video that I was not able to play. So, but go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your thought.
So no, go ahead. Tell us more.
There it is. Okay. So this is actually going to talk about what David just mentioned.
Okay.
What happened to modern day mankind? We've made great progress on so many fronts, but some of the greatest mysteries remain.
In your first year of medical school, you get a cadaver and they cut it up. The fascia you can throw in the garbage can. So it's almost like we're trained to not pay attention to it.
In the past, the human body was cut in many different pieces. And in such a way, we lost the global view of the body.
It's now one of the most exciting fields of science.
It's all the same human body, and we just have different perspectives on it.
It's completely new. It's a paradigm shift.
Just another piece of the puzzle to help us see the human body as a whole.
This tension can be migrating into your fascial network and will basically lead to secondary symptoms.
Maybe this is where fascia research can help us see all of mankind's needs.
It's a miracle.
And you're not the actor.
No, I'm not an actor at all.
It's no wonder that more and more people are becoming fascinated by the fascia.
Oh my God, what's happening? Because there was running water from his eyes.
Why you're crying? She asked. I said, my pain is gone.
And we are definitely heading along the right track.
We can avoid the aging, we can avoid the degeneration of the joint, we can avoid many different pathologies in the organ, in the muscle, in the joints, and consequently it means that we can become older in a better way.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.